And we're just asking, why is our town burnt down? Why are our families' houses gone? And if you can explain that to us in a logical, reasonable way, we'll accept it. But right now, there is no explanation.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. Let's say that there was a horrible tragedy and a fire ripped through your hometown. Now, a couple of curiosities about this fire. Rich people's homes were immune to burning down. Only the poor people's homes burnt down. Also, the federal authorities blocked you from leaving the town, and also the people in charge didn't sound the alarm, nor did they release any water so that your town could be saved. Also, the government passed a law just a few days before the fire burned down your house, and that law said that you can be evicted for any reason at all by a special czar that was put in charge in order to make sure that when they burned your house down, that they could just kick you out right away without you having any property rights. And because they're Marxists and communists and they don't believe in private property. Let's just say that happened to you. Would you be asking some questions? Would you be asking questions about what happened? Would you be going, wait a second, something don't make sense? That's what's happening right now in Maui. That's what's happening right now in Lahaina. As they are reading articles now in the Associated Press saying that the government literally blocked people into their homes while they were on fire. In the deadly Maui fires, many had no warning and no way out. Those who dodged the government barricades survived. This is from the Associated Press. So yeah, actually ignoring the federal government was how you lived through this horrible fire. You know, there really are no coincidences in life, and a lot of things start to add up when you look at the destruction of the fires in Maui. You start to recognize that it's this little town and the poor population of this town that were so severely and dramatically affected. In fact, this fire happened to just miraculously burn down essentially every single livable structure in the city.
100 structures damaged. There was only 3,500 in Lahaina. There's 4,500 displaced.
22 of 3,500.
Yeah.
So more than half of the town.
Oh, yeah. Two-thirds of the town is gone and displaced all around that West Maui and all over Maui. And there's back to, whether or not it's Hawaiian Electric, whether or not it's water, whether or not it's the officials that day who didn't sound the alarms and the sirens. There's so much that went wrong that day. And with a fire backed by 80-mile-an-hour winds and people waved because of barricades down into the central part of town that are basically trapped in an oven.
And then other people who had to jump in the ocean to avoid the fires as well.
Oh, got it. Okay, so people got trapped in an oven. That's the corporate media. That's what the corporate media has to say about this. Okay, so yeah, the AP, the corporate press are all saying, yeah, okay. Essentially, we burned the city down and then locked everyone in their homes. And now, oh, baby, it's getting even darker. Maui residents are testifying at an emergency council meeting that this disaster is something that is going to greatly assist developers. $5 billion are coming to Maui, and sticky fingers are here to take all of it and develop everything without any input, people are saying. Individuals are saying, essentially, why are our family houses gone? If you can explain that in a logical way, we'll accept it. Well, nobody can explain it. The best that I found is Jesse Waters, who went through on his program and said, wait a second, why is the government passing emergency orders to remove people from their homes before an emergency?
The deadly Maui fires, many of them missing children. The Hawaii Electric Company was negligent with their downed power lines and are now involved in a cover-up. Water held back from firefighters, roads were even blocked, trapping Americans inside the inferno. And FEMA officials have been staying at five-star luxury resorts. But it actually gets worse. The Free Beacon discovered that FEMA, in the middle of all of this around-the-clock search and rescue recovery mission, is telling their workers to focus on diversity training. FEMA is having workers do a 3-hour course on equity in the middle of the disaster recovery. The course teaches them how white supremacy is ingrained in nearly every system and an institution in the U.S., It tells its employees that the U.S. is rooted in extreme, extraordinary violence and says that employees must acknowledge that the systemic racism and oppression exist. So while Hawaiians are missing kids and are prevented from seeing their scorched homes, FEMA officials are staying at the Four Seasons and taking a 3-hour course on white supremacy. I hate to tell you, but it actually gets worse. Hawaiians are being evicted from their homes so landlords can cash in.
We've been receiving call after call of people who are being asked to be evicted by their landlords. People who are being displaced during a time of emergency when their house was like the only house standing in their neighborhood, simply because the owner of the house realized that their investment is no longer a sound investment.
Why are people getting evicted if their homes didn't burn? Well, this is interesting. Less than a month before the fire, the Democrat governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, signed an emergency proclamation concerning Hawaiian real estate.
To my knowledge, this was the first emergency proclamation in the country that didn't have a preceding incident. This was just, from my knowledge, was just to streamline development on Maui, and it is allocated all decision-making power to one person, the housing officer of the governor, Nani Medeiros, who's unelected, who can trump every single thing that you do. They're meeting with developers, private landowners, and not a lot of community.
Maui residents say this is highly suspicious. The emergency housing proclamation was declared weeks before the actual emergency created a housing emergency. This emergency proclamation has been described as a gift to developers. The residents are apoplectic because of all the emergency powers. They go to a housing czar, and residents get no say. Now the residents think developers, government officials, and all those billionaires have bought up land in Hawaii. Like Zuckerberg, Oprah, Bezos are going to take advantage of the devastation.
We busted our and this is what we get. Nobody called us. Our phones didn't work from 5 in the morning. The fire was not 10 o'clock when I went to work. The fire was still there. There was no water. Tell me if that's coincidence. No water, no warning. And everybody talking about the satellite city before the fire. Lahaina going to be the first satellite city. Well, hey, Jeff Bezos, you got what you wanted. Oprah, you got what you wanted. And the guy who owns the nut, you got what you wanted. That's all over.
Many of the Maui residents are worried that their town is going to be turned into a smart city, a tech hub where wealthy people work remotely, massive data is collected, and middle-class people are priced out. Primetime has no idea what's going on. The governor of Hawaii calls this all a conspiracy theory. But when all of these tragedies and mishaps converge, it leaves vulnerable people searching anywhere for answers. Representative Diamond Garcia is a member of the Hawaii House of Representatives. All right, Diamond, tell us what people are thinking here.
Well, the fact is people are confused. It's been 3 weeks, Jesse, and there's not been any clear answers. I mean, these people lost everything, their homes, their families, their loved ones, their children, and they're crying for answers. They need answers. And unfortunately, the response from the federal, state, and county governments has been pretty quiet. When asked what the death count was for children, the answer was, I don't know. When asking FEMA and calling FEMA for more resources, they get the voicemail. So people are frustrated here in Hawaii, and it's really sad to see this kind of federal response.
So if you have real estate, probably the most expensive in the entire country, and there's a lot of poor people in Maui, there just are, and then a fire comes through and just rips it to shreds, and developers are licking their chops. Is this why people are so concerned, especially when the fire water wasn't ready, or wasn't given to the firefighters, and all of these things keep adding up?
Absolutely. The fact is, just days after the fire burnt down the entire town of Lahaina, realtors and developers were calling residents who lost their homes and offering to buy their properties. So people immediately caught on to what was going on. And it looks like right when this happened, the developers came down like vultures and tried to take their property.
Yeah, people are searching for answers. And as we brought you last week, they're getting very, very scary answers, in fact. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who was in charge of the water use in Maui. This man refused to give any of the water to the firefighters that they needed to fight the fire as children burned alive. His name is M. Kaleo Manuel. He's the water official who explained that the water in Hawaii is something that needs to be revered. And so the victims in the Maui fire needed to be burned alive because, well, you can't be giving water to people. You can't be giving anything to people. In fact, there are clips from Maui that are coming out. FEMA blocking food distribution in Lahaina, in Hawaii. They shut down the private sector trying to help the people by sending them insulin and by sending them food and by sending them like all of the things that they may need to survive. What? Check this out.
Just be informed that we are shutting down this placard distribution as of now. Please. There are powers that be. I'm not sure of the reasoning. All I know is the order has come down to shut down the distribution of these placards. That's all I have for you.
Finally, even more confusing are the locals who are traveling through the area in Lahaina and saying this doesn't make any sense when they find burned out vehicles on the island. So these guys are finding these cars made of these metals that have a very high burn temperature, melting temperature, and none of it's making any sense because these cars are kind of found out in the middle of nowhere. Again, questions that we have that don't have any answers. Check this out.
How did that cone not completely disappear? Because if you look at this vehicle, and I want you to notice the burn, the amount of grass, as you can see, that burned and the char marks. This car is basically completely surrounded by gravel, and you can see a small little flames right here when this grass burned. Yet when you turn and look right in this direction, besides seeing Dylan, my technical cameraman, you can see this car. And for all you scientists out there that have been sending me images and you're asking me if they're real, I'm here to tell you, in Jesus' name, what we're showing you is real, live on YouTube. So if you enjoy content like this, we ask you to please immediately like this, share this, and subscribe to the channel. Why? Because you are our only hope of getting this out to the world through the YouTube algorithm. This is a tire that is gone. These are the braids of steel inside the tire. Look at this particular rim. Is it safe to say these are aluminum?
Look at the windshield. What's that?
Are these aluminum?
Yeah, that's cast aluminum wheels.
Cast aluminum wheel, you can see it melted.
And the windshield on the inside?
Look at the windshield. That is a windshield right there that is completely melted. We have some jumper cables in the back of the vehicle. We have some cast aluminum here that's pulverized.
It's just dust.
How is that possible for a grass fire that did not come from this direction? Because you can see there's nothing that's been burned over here. What could cause that type of destruction when you have a grass fire on this side that obviously didn't connect? But even if it was a grass fire,
and it's still only half burned. I mean,
yeah, you can see there's even some grass over here that's still standing. It's not even been burned. So even down below, directly below this, you can see some wood fence posts that were burned, but you can see all that grass is still good. So how do you get this car this hot? In the comments section, I need to hear from you guys.